In the previous video of our biology series, we talked about what plant nutrition, right? Now in this video, we're talking about what animal nutrition. Now animal nutrition, after talking about plant nutrition, that's when we come to animal nutrition. Why? Because animal nutrition is dependent on plant nutrition, in that animal nutrition is also known as heterotrophic nutrition. So most animals, they perform heterotrophic nutrition except euglena, which is also which doubles as a plant and an animal. So euglena breed is both a plant and an animal. So as an animal, it's also phototrophic. It performs autotrophic modes of nutrition. But then in animals basically they feed on other or living organisms, and this is basically known as heterotrophic nutrition. And this heterotrophic nutrition, there are different parts, there are different types. We have carnivores, we have herbivores, we have omnivores. Now these are heterotrophs. Then we also have others like saprophytes, we have parasites, we have fluid feeders, we have so on and so forth. So there are different forms of heterotrophic nutrition that's performed by plants. But first of all, let's talk about what are they even eating. So now what they are eating what we know as the 6 classes of food, which are what? Carbohydrates. Your carbohydrates are basically your sugars, which are your monosaccharides. Your monosaccharides include your glucose. So and then your disaccharides include your sucrose. Then your polysaccharides include your starch. So those are your carbohydrates. Then we also have your proteins. Your proteins are basically those things that you eat to make your body grow. So but carbohydrates make you give you energy, instant energy, while proteins make you grow and also give energy. Then we have fat. Fats also pack a lot of energy. Fats pack twice the amount of energy of carbohydrates and proteins. For example, 1 gram of fat contains 37.6 joules, whereas 1 gram of carbohydrates and proteins contains 16.7 respectively. So that shows that fat is even has more energy. That is why it's not good for you to eat too much fat, because much of that energy is stored in your body and is stored in an unwanted form. And most of the time, fat is always readily stored. So if you eat proteins are not really stored. Proteins are always ingested. So that's why you must always watch the amount of proteins you eat. I'm not a nutritionist. I'm just trying to use biology knowledge to enlighten you. So now basically moving on, we have after carbohydrates and protein, we have minerals. Now these mineral salts, there are different types of these mineral salts. So they are calcium, phosphorus. Now you've probably heard of calcium is good for the bones, right? When you go to the hospital and probably you see somebody having issues with the bones, and then you see the bone doctor is saying okay, make sure you take calcium, you take calcium supplement. So that is a mineral, and it is also part of the 6 classes of food we are talking about. Now look, biology is not very distant from you. Biology is everyday life. Biology is practical. In your body it works. Biology is when you go to hospital, all those things your doctors are saying, it is also taken from your biology. So as a biology student, you should also be a doctor on your own. So it is something estimable. You understand? So basically, moving on, we have after minerals, we have vitamins. Now these vitamins, there are different types. Yes, the fat soluble, which are vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, and vitamin K. We also have the water soluble vitamins, which are vitamin B and vitamin C and vitamin B complex. So those B and C, they are water soluble. What A, D, and K are fat soluble. So these vitamins, they are also very important. You probably heard of all those vitamin tablets, all those colored and white, that when they ask you to go and buy in the chemist shop, you go and buy the colored one instead of the white because you like sweet things. So now, but they often tell you that the white one works faster than the colored. So I don't know of that yet, but who knows. So basically, those are called vitamins, and those contains different combinations of vitamins. That could be vitamin C, vitamin D, or so on and so forth. Now vitamin we get a natural vitamin from the sun. There's natural vitamin that comes from the sun. That is vitamin E. And if you stay in the sun in the morning between 6 and 7, you will have a healthy dose of vitamin E. So and then these vitamins, like vitamin A is for eyesight, vitamin B has its own function, vitamin C also has its own function. Vitamin C prevents scurvy, vitamin D also prevents rickets, and so on and so forth. Vitamin E and vitamin K, they help the quality and bone formation. So these vitamins, everything that we eat, whether knowing or knowing, whether you don't know what you're eating or not, it has its own function. That is the work of biologists. That is the work of we scientists, to look at the functions and to diagnose and to give us good advice on our nutrition. So that is why we're talking about nutrition in animals, because like whether you like it or not, we human beings, we are also animals. So moving on, I talked about carbohydrates, I talked about proteins, I talked about minerals, I talked about vitamins. Now we also have, I've talked about fats and oils. Then we also have talked about water. Now water is an essential component, and whether you like it or not, you take water. Even when you say you don't want to take water, when you cook rice, listen, when you cook rice, your rice absorbs water, and that water is also eaten. So half of your water comes from food, and another half comes from what you drink. Whether you like it or not, that's a fact. So you cannot avoid water. Water is compulsory, and human beings can only last for 3 days without water. So better grab that cup. So basically, those are the classes of nutrients. And then moving on, this heterotrophism, there's a basic equation that's for it. Now basically, heterotrophism involves the opposite of phototrophism, and that means is that you are breaking down glucose with the help of what? Oxygen, and that is what is known as aerobic respiration. So basically, you have C6H6O6 plus O2 to give you CO2 plus H2O plus ATP as energy. So this ATP is known as adenosine triphosphate, and that is the form of energy that is produced when we undergo complete aerobic digestion, and it's often 38 moles, yes, 38 units of ATP in complete digestion aerobic. But when we talk about digestion without the oxygen and anaerobic respiration, it often involves production of lactic acid and pyruvic acid. So those ones, they often involve much less energy. So then let's balance this equation. That will be 6O2, 6CO2, 6H2O. Yes. I won't give the equation for the anaerobic, but this is the equation for the aerobic. You can check the anaerobic in your textbook. There are different forms of it. So, but for the anaerobic in plants, the product is for the anaerobic in animals, the product is pyruvic acid, or you can say lactic acid. Then for the anaerobic in plants, it is ethanoic acid. Yes. So that is the product of anaerobic respiration. They often produce acids. So now moving on, that is the equation of nutrition, right? That is what is known as respiration, and that is why you all even take oxygen. So the reason why I take oxygen into your nose is because you want to break down your food, and you want to carry out respiration. And respiration is also tied intimately with nutrition. So today we've talked about nutrition in animals, and thank you for watching.